She seems to be Jethro's daughter, a daughter without a name, one of the 7 daughters of a priest of Midian, or Moses' wife. This is the story of Zipporah, and some stories say she was Moses' first wife. Moses' family is one of the most mysterious parts of the Bible. There is more in the Bible about the great leader of Israel's people than about anyone else. Because of this, it is especially interesting to see how little is known about his family members and the mystery that surrounds what is known. Today we will look at the story of Zipporah, the woman who was with the great leader. Her relationship with Moses shows the unique spiritual connection between Moses and Jethro, which led to spiritual ascension. Zipporah is the one who saves Moses from death, which makes his task possible. She is the one who stresses how important the covenant between God and Israel is as a key part of redemption. And she is the one who is ready to let go of her husband so that he can meet God and complete his task. The Bible talks about more than just Moses and his purpose. It also talks about other people who seem to be important in the process of redemption. The midwives are told by Pharaoh to kill the babies, but they don't listen to him and save the babies. The daughter of Levi. The Bible doesn't say her name, but we know it's Jacob. As a result of disobeying her father's orders, Miriam Moses' mother, saves the baby from death, names him Moses, and raises him herself. It is interesting to note that all of these important women in Moses' birth, rescue, and growth were women. One woman, Zipporah, Moses' wife, is mentioned by name for the first time when they got married. Moses agreed to stay with the man who gave his daughter Zipporah to Moses in marriage. Exodus 2:21. What made Moses marry a woman from Midian, and how did that change the process of the redemption? Moses' marriage to Zipporah slowed down the plan. After marrying the daughter of a Midianite, he lived with his father-in-law for 60 years and didn't seem interested in his brother's condition. But later in the lines, it becomes clear that God did not see this marriage as a flaw. In chapter 4 of the book of Exodus, it says that God picked Moses to lead the Israelites out of Egypt. During Moses' journey from Midian to Egypt at a place to stay, the Lord met him and was about to kill him. But Zipporah took a flint knife, cut off her son's foreskin, and touched Moses' feet with it. She told him, "Surely you are a bridegroom of blood to me." The Lord then let him go. Verse 24 through 26 of Exodus 4. God told Moses to free Israel from Egypt, but while Moses was on his way, God wanted to kill him. But Zipporah stepped in and saved Moses, which made her one of the most important women in Israel's redemption. This story of Moses' rescue is the only one we have of her actions in the Bible. She does show up twice more later on, though. The first time is when her father Jethro comes to Moses in the desert and brings her and his sons with him after the story of Moses' sending. And the second time she is mentioned is when Miriam and Aaron bring up the issue of Zipporah and Moses' marriage. Miriam and Aaron started to speak out against Moses because he had married a Cushite woman. Has the Lord spoken only through Moses? Hasn't he also spoken through us? They asked, and the Lord heard their voices. 12:1-2. The story of the Cushite woman is very confusing because we don't know if she is really Zipporah. It makes us wonder about the identity of the second woman Moses married, which makes us wonder why he took another wife and why we don't know much about her. If you want to learn more about the Cushite woman, search for a video on our channel called The Second Wife of Moses. Now let's go back to the beginning of Moses' journey and look at the details of his marriage to Zipporah. This is how the Bible describes his arrival in Midian. When Pharaoh heard about this, he tried to kill Moses. Verse 15 of Exodus 2. Because Moses killed an Egyptian man who had hurt one of his Hebrew brothers, Pharaoh wants to hurt him. In Midian, near a well, we find the beginning of Zipporah's story. But Moses ran away from Pharaoh and went to live in Midian, where he sat down by a well. There, a priest's 7 daughters came to get water and fill the troughs to water their father's flock. When some shepherds came along and tried to get rid of them, Moses jumped up, helped them, and watered their sheep. Read Exodus 2:15-17. Moses didn't follow Zipporah or her sisters to Jethro's house. Jethro was the one who invited him. It wasn't until Jethro invited Moses that he met Zipporah. Moses agreed to stay with the man who married his daughter Zipporah, Exodus 2:21. After being told to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, Moses left Jethro's house and stayed with Zipporah and her sons. Along the way, the Lord met Moses and was about to kill him, but Zipporah took a flint knife, cut off her son's foreskin, and touched Moses' feet with it, saying, "Surely you are a bridegroom of blood to me." The Lord then let Moses go. Verse 24 through 26 of Exodus 4. Many commentators say that God meant to kill Moses, but why would God pick this exact moment right before Moses was supposed to do his job? The story begins with the unusual phrase, "The Lord met Moses." This description of Moses' relationship with God is very different from what we usually read in the Bible, where God talks to people or sends angels. A meeting with God is something that only happens here to reach such a high level of prophecy. Moses had to be very well prepared because when you meet God, even the tiniest flaw can be fatal. As Moses stands in this meeting with God, an even higher level of perfection is expected of him, which is impossible because his son was not circumcised. Zipporah watches the situation and understands. She knows what spiritual ascension means and knows that her husband is having an incredibly special meeting with God. She also knows that Moses' life is in danger because of a flaw that doesn't fit with this extraordinary meeting with God. As she looked for the problem, she realized that it was because their son wasn't circumcised. She fixed it, which saved Moses and let him continue his mission. Even though she was from a different country, Zipporah knew the special bond between God and Israel, which was shown by circumcision. She performed the circumcision herself, showing the unique bond between God and Israel and her own bond with God instead of Midian. The Bible ends here, and it wasn't until chapter 18 that we learned she wasn't with Moses. It's possible that Moses left Zipporah and their sons behind while he focused on his mission, hoping the child's health would get better, and later went back to Midian. On the other hand, Zipporah may have realized that Moses' job didn't allow for a normal family life and left him to complete his mission regardless. Moses continued his task without his family with him. Later, Miriam didn't agree with Moses' decision to leave Zipporah, saying that being a prophet shouldn't mean leaving a spouse. Miriam didn't fully understand what made Moses different from other preachers. Zipporah, Jethro's daughter, knew Moses' special situation and was ready to step aside so he could keep going up to meet God. We hope you learned something today. If you did, please like this video and share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more fun and inspiring historical and biblical videos.